I think my worst job, and I hate saying this because it's still my family business, is catching chickens. Yeah, I know, like there's so many dopey things running around everyone's brains the minute I say that.
Well, I'm picturing it for sure.
Well, okay, how does a chicken end up in the supermarket?
What?
You think it walks there?
Doesn't walk there.
You think someone's luring it there?
Mm-mm.
No, it takes a man inside a dark, hot house the size of a football field with socks cut open and put up his wrists and arms so the chickens don't claw at them. It takes a man covered in chicken poop from head to toe in that dark, smelly house, lifting each of those chickens up by the leg, 5 of them in each hand, 7,000 in an hour, and putting them into boxes. And then they drive off. And one day, you wake up and they're sitting on your plate because of superheroes. Not all your heroes wear capes. Right here.
So we're here with Darren from We Are Messengers. So excited to have you. It's always a fun time talking to you. And I know a lot of your history. I know a lot of your story. So I might dig a little deep, but I know you like to go there. So what do you think?
Well, you ask questions, I'll answer them.
We'll start light. Okay. So what is your favorite memory of your dad or as a dad?
Wow. Maybe
that wasn't even the deep question.
No, but for me, that's really deep. I think my favorite memory of my daddy is one that happened really recently. My wife led me to Jesus a long time ago. She led my little brother to Jesus. He led my older sister to Jesus. And then I was sitting in Nashville a few months ago, and my dad called me on the phone, and he doesn't get emotional. He's very Irish. He's a next level of Irish to me, and you could tell he was emotional. And he said, "Son, I just want to tell you that me and your mother have repented of our sin and given our lives to Jesus." And he's 76 years old. And so I'll be there when they're baptized. They're getting baptized in our home church in Monaghan in Ireland. 3 generations of Mulligans under one roof that have given their lives to the Lord.
I'm losing it. I have tears. That's amazing. Congratulations.
It's pretty amazing. God is kind, much more kind than we'll ever know.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Oh, huge congratulations to your dad and to you, honestly, for, Heidi really leading the way in, I mean.
You see the power of one person having the courage to forgive someone and to love them, and her changing my life because of that. And then all of the lives that have been impacted through the years and across the world because of, this wee band that we have and what we do is all because one woman was faithful to the calling of God in her life. And so everything good in my family has stemmed from that incredible woman.
I love that. So as we talk about kind of the difficulties that you've seen in life, there are certain traumas that I think, especially at the beginning of your career, could have felt like it was a pile-on, right? That there was a spiritual warfare pile-on.
Yeah.
And not to, dive into any of those things
dive
specifically.
Anywhere you want. I'm good.
Well, I guess I'm more curious. How did you make sense of it all in the moment versus pushing through versus even in hindsight?
I think early on, we had a lot of trauma in America and moving to America. Some of it I don't share about anymore. And some of it I do openly, like we had a major bus crash, where a man lost his life and, it was really traumatic. And at the time, my immediate reaction was I got to quit. I want to stop this. I want to go home to Ireland. This was 7 or 8 years ago. And I remember sitting on the couch with my wife that night going, "Babe, I just want to go home. It's obvious we're being haunted by all kinds of trauma, and devilment is a very Irish word for the work of the devil." And my wife said, "Well, did God tell you to go home?" And I said, "No." Then she said, "Why would we go home?" And so I think initially my reaction to trauma is just persevere, keep going, dig in. And then, actually just a couple of years ago I had another car crash in Nashville, going to the airport. My truck rolled 3 or 4 times, and I got out of the truck and went to the airport and went and played a show in Colorado. Left my truck with the wheels spinning on the side of the road. My reaction again was, you know what, I almost died, but there has to be something beautiful on the other side of it. And there was. That night hundreds of people came to know Jesus. That was pretty extraordinary. And the only reason I remember that is because somebody told me. I may have had some concussion, but I think you do two things with trauma. If you've lived long enough and you've been with Jesus long enough, you know that the trauma and the pain and the suffering of life is not to be avoided. It's actually to be embraced. You know, joy is something I have truly found in my life, but that joy only comes through suffering. And the suffering is quite often the gift. We are confused in America and in Ireland. In Christian circles, we believe that the good things are only the things that feel good and are nice and wholesome. But in my life, the good things have been the things that almost killed me, the things that almost destroyed my faith, the things that haunted me in the dead of night. God has taken them and has used them for the most beautiful things in my life, for His glory and my good. And suffering's messy and hard, but it can be beautiful if you know Jesus is in it with you.
It's the epitome of His strength is made known in our weakness.
Yes.
And we can't see it without our weakness being involved.
100%, Candace. We have made the goal of all things to be the avoidance of suffering. Find that in the scriptures for me anywhere, remotely. Brothers, take up your cross and follow me. Suffering produces persevering character, and character hope, and hope never puts us to shame. Lose your life and you might find it. Where in that is the American dream of follow Jesus and everything will be rosy in the garden? The garden is not rosy this side of heaven, but it is beautiful. Imagine it this way. We don't live in a perfect garden like Eden. We live in a garden that's overrun by wildflowers, thorns and bushes. But you know what? It's still beautiful. Your life may be overran with difficulty and complexity and loss and grief and sorrow and shame and all these emotions that humans have. But if Jesus is in that with you, they're all going to be made beautiful. It's just a matter of time. We're just waiting for time to catch up with the goodness of God.
So you kind of ruined my next question. But I'll ask it anyway. So is a song like God Be the Glory easier to write in hindsight? Or is it a song that in the midst of it helped kind of pull you up?
Yeah, yes, and both. I write songs, with the benefit of being able to look back at situations and circumstances, to remind myself of how good God was in those moments. And sometimes I'm caught so thick in the deep of it that the only thing I can do is sing and hope that God will turn up. And God Be the Glory is different in that God Be the Glory is a song about the promises of God actually coming to pass in my life. So I used to look at joy in everyone else's life and I was like, everyone seems to have joy but me. And it got to the point where I was like, maybe joy is not for me. Maybe my walk in life is one of just enduring and persevering and keeping on going. And then I just said to someone outside, one morning I woke up and joy was sitting in my heart. And I sat with a woman just a few minutes ago who was weeping over not having any joy. And I said, the beautiful thing about joy is that sorrow may endure for the evening, but joy comes in the morning. And she said, I just don't think I'm strong enough to find it anymore. And I said, the beautiful thing is, just like the sun rises in the morning, you don't tell the sun to rise, the sun rises. And just like joy, you don't tell joy to come, joy comes in the morning. So God Be the Glory is that song for me. Joy turned up. He turned my mourning to laughter, my sorrow into joy. He turned my feet towards dancing, and all of hell couldn't keep him from me, because it's a gift, and Jesus is a gift.
That is so beautiful. And it is so funny because listening to God Be the Glory, it's like, yeah, all right, this is poppy. And the more you dig into the lyrics, you're like, every single one of these is like about suffering and sadness. So I think that tying those two together and marrying that in the way that you just did is really beautiful.
That's the whole album.
Mm-hmm.
The Where the Joy Is record is like a punk rock album in that it's saying really hard things about really hard things, but it sounds like a pop rock anthem to a life of joy.
Yeah.
That's what God has done in my life.
I love it. Okay. I would really like to dive into the disco ball of fun.
Disco ball of fun.
You see the disco ball sitting here.
I see it.
Oh, I shook it up.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's okay.
There's some really good questions in there. All right. So Darren, with these questions,
yeah,
Feel free to dive in, grab whatever question you want. If one's not speaking to you, throw it back, grab another one. And you have a special card that you can use if you want, but you don't have to. So.
Okay, let's go. Is it one and done, or we got a couple of these?
No, we just
All right.
plenty.
Who was your first concert? That's pretty easy. My first concert was in 1994 at the Hillgrove Hotel in Monaghan, Ireland. There was a band called The Frames. It's a singer called Glenn Hansard. He was the guy that was in the movie Once. Oh. They're one of my favourite bands of all time. And I was talking to him recently about something. Yeah. That's amazing. That was my first concert.
Awesome. And you got to talk to him recently?
Yeah, just about this Uilleann Piper. We're doing this Christmas record, traditional Irish record with, we just brought in 7 of the best traditional Irish music players in the whole world to a 17th century studio in Ireland. And we've been recording songs from the 16th century. And it's cool.
What?
Some songs from the 16th century.
Okay, that's like a passion project in itself, but I think people will be dying to hear that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It starts with jigs and reels, and it's just flute and barron, this old ancient Irish Celtic drum. Just so many wonderful instruments. A harp. There's a guy with like a full-size harp just in there playing the harp.
Is that this Christmas?
Some of it's coming this Christmas, some of it next Christmas. Yeah,
That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called even, but
it'll come to you.
I probably shouldn't have told anyone. There you go. That's happening.
Surprise!
Surprise.
You heard it here first, folks.
All right, we're going again. Do you have a this is so stupid. Do you have a favorite lost piece of clothing that haunts you? Well, the beauty about being a man.
I feel strongly about this question.
You got an answer?
Of course I do, but go on.
Well, the beauty about being a man like me is most of the time I dress like a man who doesn't care about clothing, so I don't tend to miss it. But when I met my wife in Galway in 1999, dude, that's a long time ago, I was wearing a pair of blue corduroy trousers. You know the kind of corduroy trousers that are back in fashion?
Yes.
And like my son wears corduroy trousers now, and I'm like, bro, you look ridiculous. He's like, this is what everyone's wearing. He's right. They're kind of cool. I miss those trousers.
See, you have an answer. Okay. I'm telling you, I have T-shirts that I got at different events and things like. One is a Monster Truck Show T-shirt.
Why?
Why? Because I like Monster Truck shows a lot.
I thought you had some depth attached to this, like it was the last time I saw my puppy or something.
No. Love Monster Truck shows.
Really?
And so I bought one in high school. My mom hated it because it's like, it's got, pictures of skulls on it and it's very like heavy metal. And she's like, that thing's disgusting. And I kept it for a long time. Then my husband hated it. And at some point, it just disappeared.
Your husband is a smart man.
I have conspiracies. I think they're in it together.
I think he just threw it out because he didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine you ever wearing skulls.
Well,
you don't strike me as the skulls type.
That's what my mom said too. Ugh, Darren.
Do you like heavy metal?
Trauma. No, but all my siblings do. They're obsessed with it.
Okay.
I go,
I love heavy metal. All right, let's go. What do we got? I quite like this. See, you thought I didn't like games. Look at me playing the games.
Look at you.
Look at me. You're proud of me. What is it? Oh, dude, the question's back. What is a conspiracy theory you could believe with very little convincing? I could believe with very little convincing that the moon landing never happened, that the earth is flat, and that gravity is conceptual and not a reality.
Oh, he had those on lock. He was ready.
Yeah.
Okay, the funny thing is
Me and Terence Crawford.
We were just talking about the moon landing the other day in our group text, and our master of lighting, the photographer, said that it's impossible to get that kind of lighting from a studio.
Yeah, listen. you need to watch the deep stuff. Like, no, I don't. It probably happened. Yeah, it probably happened. But I wouldn't take a lot of convincing.
Wouldn't take a lot of convincing.
What else would not take a lot of convincing? I think the one world government. I could probably get behind that a wee bit. That's maybe a possibility. I don't think Jay-Z's in the Illuminati. I don't even think that's a thing. Edit that out. do you know how many times people think that I'm in the Illuminati? What? We did this. We have this like symbol sometimes in our logo. It's like 3 lines and 3 lines, and then it's "We are messengers."
Oh yeah.
And people are like, "Are you in the Illuminati?" I'm like, "Bro, it's 3 lines for the W and 3 lines for the M. It's not that complicated." Christians get weird, dude.
Since we're on that topic,
of which I am one, which explains it.
No, literally though, and that's the thing. We're all weird in our own ways, But I'm interested if there's ever been like a crazy fan request of you.
Yes.
And it's not a crazy fan. Crazy request from a fan.
Yeah, well, the people that, you know, gravitate towards us can be kind of like varied, and I've had some really strange requests from people to someone asked me to send them hair one time.
Did they specify beard hair or
I've never said that out loud. It literally has to be beard hair because it's the only hair I have. And yeah, no, that was odd. So I didn't.
Oh, well.
I didn't reply.
Make-A-Wish is going to call soon. Disappointed you didn't come through.
If someone's wishing for that, they need to get to glory.
That's amazing. All right.
You can't put that.
Oh, it's going in, Darren.
That
It's going in.
Right, okay.
And this is why it's the disco ball of fun.
I have to learn not to answer all the questions. What is a topic you consider yourself an expert on? I don't know if I consider myself an expert in anything, but I have a really vast wealth of general knowledge. I'm a dad, so like my kids will ask me strange stuff like, I don't know, what is the French for house? And I'll be like, oh, maison. And like, how do you know that, Dad? And I'm like, I have no idea. So just random knowledge. You can probably testify. The random knowledge thing. But an expert. Do you know what I think I'm really good at? I think I'm really good at recognizing how people feel. And being able to, in an appropriate way, let them feel that. And then help them to move on from that. I think that's my superpower. Yeah. So I'm an expert, I think.
It's a very important superpower.
Yeah, I can't read all of the things, but I can read heartache.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because I've had a lot.
That was my next question. Where'd it come from?
Heartache. Heartache is we wrote a song called Come What May. Mm-hmm. You know, says sometimes sorrow is the door to peace. Sometimes heartache is the gift I need. Again, in my life, I've always tried to avoid the heartache, but it seems to have followed me around. And I think God has used that in my life to be able to comfort other people. I don't always do that well, but it's always my goal to leave every room better than I found it. To be good news to people, especially those who are mourning. Jesus is really tender to those who have heartache. Mm-hmm. Blessed are those who mourn, they'll be comforted. And I want to be that kind of man. That doesn't heap judgment upon you, mm-hmm. but that comforts you in your heartache.
That's so important.
More. Jeepers.
More. Last one.
These questions have made me sound like an utter oddball.
That's the point. We're all oddballs.
What was your worst job? Dude. I've had a lot of jobs. I've drove forklifts. I've worked in kitchen factories. I've worked on farms. I think my worst job, and I hate saying this because it's still my family business, is catching chickens. Yeah, I know. Like, there's so many dopey things running around everyone's brains the minute I say that.
Well, I'm picturing it for sure.
Well, okay, how does a chicken end up in the supermarket?
What?
You think it walks there?
Doesn't walk there.
You think someone's luring it there?
Mm-mm.
No. It takes a man inside a dark, hot house the size of a football field with socks cut open and put up his wrists and arms so the chickens don't claw at them. It takes a man covered in chicken poop from head to toe in that dark, smelly house, lifting each of those chickens up by the leg, 5 of them in each hand, 7,000 in an hour, and putting them into boxes. And then they drive off. And one day, you wake up and they're sitting on your plate because of superheroes. Not all your heroes wear capes. Right here.
My world is rocked. The next chicken dinner, people are going to pray and they're going to say, Lord, bless the hands that had to pick these chickens up.
Yes, bless the hands that caught these chickens. The sweat from their brows, real men. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? That made a way for my living as a young man. Like, my hardest job ever was I managed homes for kids with intellectual disabilities. I have a PhD in child and adolescent mental health. And so for 9 years, I managed homes helping kids with intellectual disabilities. And that was probably the most mentally exhausting but most rewarding job of my life. So it was my worst job and my best job as well.
I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you had a PhD.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget to when I hear myself talk, and I'm surprised.
I'm surprised you don't introduce yourself as Dr. Mulligan.
Oh yeah, I would be an expert in child and adolescent mental health.
I guess I am an expert.
I still don't know what to do with my 12-year-old daughter, but there you go.
It's different. It's a different species.
Yeah, she's incredible. Oh, how I love her. But she is a world of mystery to me right now.
Well, Darren, thank you so much. You made the disco ball of fun extra fun.
Oh, thank you. I actually really do enjoy it. Yeah.
Right?
I love games. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying. They're sitting a throne of light.